Cynthia Connors is with us right now. She is, of course, on the City Council of Laguna Woods. A lot of things are happening over there. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to
It's
see
nice
you
to be
again.
back.
Yeah, and you know, let's talk about just this week. You had a wonderful, you had your City Council meeting, of course,
Right.
but then a couple hours later, you have this wonderful presentation celebrating African American history. And there was poetry and food and all kinds of things going on, right?
It was a remarkable event.
Yeah.
I've never been to a poetry jam before.
I haven't either,
This was really interesting. There was poetry by African American poets as far back as the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the suffrage movement. So we had some really historical poems read. And then more contemporary, there were two by Maya Angelou and other contemporary writers.
Right.
And then several of our residents read their own poetry.
Yes, that's what I heard, yeah.
And it was very well attended, and some standing room only. Maybe that's because there was food. But I don't think we've ever done, I don't think it's been done in the city before. So it was a great way to celebrate.
It's something that you think you'll do more in the future? Regardless what group it might be, you know, it was such a good turnout.
Well, it was organized by the African American Heritage Association here in the village. So if they want to organize it again, that'll be fine.
All right. Yeah, I think that was neat.
On the Saturday before, the African American Association hosted their meeting, and they had a movie called Rising from the Rails. It was the story of the Pullman porters.
Oh, how neat.
Tens and tens of thousands of them traveled all over the country and brought back to their little hometowns the images of a different way of life, a better way of life.
Very interesting.
Waiting on the rich and famous, seeing culture in Chicago and Indianapolis and all those places, and wanting that for their families and their children, and basically establishing the black middle class in America.
Wow, that was a film?
It was. Rising from the Rails. It was a documentary, but before that it was a book. And you can get the book on Amazon.
Very good, all right. So let's talk about a couple things other things that are coming up. We've talked about this with other folks. About the voting, and of course the City Council, the chambers there is going to be one of the vote centers. Maybe it is. Did it open yet?
We have a ballot box in front of City Hall. It's this massive thing.
Yeah, so it did, yes.
And people have already been dropping their ballots in.
Okay.
And there's going to be another voting opportunity in Clubhouse 7.
That's
I think that one's not open yet, but it will be in a couple of days.
Yeah, and of course you should have gotten those in the mail. And you can mail them back, but you don't need to. You can fill those out and drop them off. And
you don't have to vote in Laguna Woods if you're a Laguna Woods resident. If you work in Anaheim and you have time at lunch, you can go vote in Anaheim, and they will print you up a Laguna Woods ballot, and you can vote it there at your convenience.
Okay, very good. Now, what's coming up this year is the census.
Right.
And I know you wanted to talk about that.
I do.
And one thing I do want to mention, because this was on the news, is there's always scams. Am I right?
Yes, there are.
And there is now a census scam going around where people are calling and asking for information. The U.S. Census they send you out things, and if you don't fill that out, you may have a census person come to your door, but they do not call you. So if you get a call saying they're from the census, that's a lie. All right?
All right.
All right, so that was on, in fact, that was on the news. I think it was on the national news, on ABC News last night. So I wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Very important. Okay.
We're really interested in getting a complete count.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that federal funds come to our city and our county and our state based on how many people we have and how many seniors we have and so forth. And because it affects our representation. If our area has grown by a certain number of people, then our congressional district gets smaller, and there's another congressional district next to us, and so we have a bigger voice.
Okay.
Or every voice counts when you get to Washington. The way it works is that they send you something and they ask you to go online and fill out your census information. So for people who are not computer literate, we will have at City Hall trained assistants who
Okay.
can come and help you get online and log on with the PIN number that comes with your
Okay.
mailing thing and fill out the stuff. And it's possible the village will do something like that
Yeah.
through their computer clubs.
And it's one of those forms per household, right?
Right.
Not per person.
Right.
So that household, if whoever fills it out is going to fill it out for them and their spouse, or whatever it might be.
I want to encourage
I
people
think,
to
yeah.
be inclusive.
Yeah.
People should not worry about the U.S. government because there may be caregivers or caregivers' relatives whose immigration status is in question who are worried about that. But we want those people to be counted, and that information is kept confidential and will not go to any other agency in the federal government.
Okay.
There are probably some unauthorized residents here. We might have more than 2 people living in a particular unit, some grandkids or some college kids or whatever. And this information doesn't go to the homeowners association. So we encourage you to fill out whoever is in your house of whatever ethnicity, whatever residency status, whatever age, write them down.
Okay.
And if you are a snowbird and you have a house someplace else, if you are here on Census Day, which I'm thinking is like April 3rd or something, whatever it says on the form. If you are in this city on Census Day, then you sign up as a resident of this city, and this is
Okay.
where you get counted.
That's a good point you just made, because people could have dual residence even outside the state.
Right.
And I don't know, do you have to list one as a primary one? Does that mean they're going to get a census form at each location?
Well, you might receive one at each location, but you fill out one for the place where you are now.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Very good. Anything else you'd like to add?
New library.
New library, yes. I know that Noel had brought on some preliminary plans that he showed a while ago, but I understand, there's always little revisions there.
Well, it's
Yeah.
a little like a camel that was
Yeah.
designed by a committee, but everybody on the council has an idea about whether this window should be bigger and whether this roof line should be sloped more steeply and whether you need a plant here or a plant there. But we're trying to make everybody happy and to integrate its look with the mission style of the City Hall, but make it a little more contemporary. It's going to have about 800 feet of stacks, and then another 800 or 1,000 feet of community access space.
Okay.
And it's going to serve not just residents of our city, but also a lot of the school children from neighboring areas.
Yeah. So very
We're
good.
real pleased with that.
And as that goes on, we'll get renderings of that and updates, and it's always good to show that. You're looking at about, for opening, a couple years?
No, not that long.
Oh,
We're going
really?
to try to run it through in 18 to 24 months.
All right, very good.
The money has some urgency attached to it.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Always good to see you.
Nice to be back.
Take care. And the City Council meeting, we replay on Monday, and that special presentation of the African American, the Poetry Jam, we're replaying that as well.
It's going to be rebroadcast tonight at 7 p.m.
Oh, good.
And
I know.
also
I was looking for my guide here, and I didn't have
Also on
it.
the 25th and the 27th at 7 p.m. So
I'm glad
can
you have
record.
that. And remember, it's Channel 3, not Channel 31 anymore. All right, we'll be right back. Thank you.